in monitors that allow the patients to walk the halls, which we know the ambulation while monitoring helps us set those patients up for success after discharge, ensuring they have a safe discharge, that we're able to monitor their trends to make sure we're not overlooking something that we would not see just laying in the bed. So really that investment has been amazing. Our average daily census at Jenny in these 3 years since the pandemic has increased. We are serving over 100 patients on an average day now. And so that is a lot of patients for Jenny. And that means that people are not having to go to Omaha anymore. And we are providing high quality, safe care here in Council Bluffs for all of our Potawatomi patients. So I really want to thank you. And I know that they appreciate that. And their families appreciate that, not having to drive into Omaha when they have a family member who needs acute medical care, but being able to be here in their community, being able to be cared for by their neighbors and their friends. And it is just wonderful. And thank you so much for that investment. And again, it's trust. And I really appreciate that you trusted us to use the money responsible in the way you designated it to be used. So thank you.
Big investment for Potawatomi County and all of Southwest Iowa.
Yes, it really is. Mm-hmm.
Quite a few patients from Southwest Iowa as well. And so the ability to not have to drive 30 to 45 minutes over in Omaha really makes life-saving differences for many of our local patients. We can't tell you how much the telemetry project was right time, right project, and really has been beneficial. So thank you very, very much.
I went up and took a tour of that.
Yes, you did.
It was pretty eye-opening.
Yes, yes, yes.
That was a neat deal.
Not that we won't take great care of you, but if you want to see the equipment, not be in a bed, we can. Yes.
Please. I don't want to be in that bed.
We would love to get a photo with the group if you don't mind. We are getting ready to do kind of a 5-year look back as part of our gratitude report. This would be the perfect time.
Up here, would you?
We just happen to have a key.
Yeah, right.
You must sit right in the middle.
Here, shake hands. Make it look like we're official, okay?
All right. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you
so much.
Thank you.
Yes, appreciate it.
That was cool.
Coming in. Thank you. Janine?
Yes.
Thanks for coming
So,
in.
of course. I'm so excited. I have a bunch of nurses coming to see you.
Oh, good.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming in.
Yes, thank
you so much again.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Keep up the good work.
Okay, next up, discussion and or decision to approve and sign proclamation designating the week of April 12th through the 18th, 2026, Public Safety Telecommuters Week.
Make the motion to approve.
I'll second the motion.
Would you read that for me, Susan?
I would love to. Public Safety Telecommunicators Week proclamation, April 12th through the 18th, 2026. Whereas when an emergency occurs, the prompt response of law enforcement officers, firefighters, EMTs, and paramedics is critical to the protection of life and preservation of property. And whereas the safety of these first responders is dependent upon the quality and accuracy of information obtained from citizens who contact the Potawatomi County Emergency Communications Center. And whereas public safety telecommunicators are the first and most critical point of contact our residents have with emergency services. And whereas public safety telecommunicators serve as the vital link between the public and emergency responders by monitoring radio traffic, coordinating response efforts, providing critical information, and ensuring responder safety. And whereas public safety telecommunicators of Potawatomi County have contributed significantly to the protection of life and property, the apprehension of criminals, the suppression of fires, and the delivery of emergency medical services. And whereas these dedicated professionals consistently demonstrate compassion, professionalism, and resilience while handling high stress and often life-threatening situations. Now therefore be it resolved that the Potawatomi County Board of Supervisors hereby declares the week of April 12th through April 18th, 2026 as Public Safety Telecommunicators Week in Potawatomi County, Iowa, in honor of the individuals whose diligence and commitment help keep our community safe. Signed this 14th day of April, 2026.
Okay, got a motion by Miller and a second by Jones to approve. Would you do a roll call, please?
Chairman Chang,
Aye.
Supervisor Wickman.
Aye.
Supervisor Miller,
Aye.
Supervisor Jorgensen.
Aye.
Supervisor Jones.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carried. Thank you for what you do. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Want to say anything?
You said a lot in the declaration, and it is true. It's a very hard job for the dispatchers down there. She just dealt with a call this morning that was a 45-minute call. It was very high stress, very high risk. And so she dealt with that call and did a great job. So it's kind of ironic that we talk about this today when this is going on every day and people just don't realize it because that's what we do. So thank you, appreciate it.
For your ability to stay calm, cool, and collected. That's incredible.
So thank you, board.
I would not have that ability.
I know your department does a really good job of recognizing and celebrating this event all week, and I really appreciate all that you guys do.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming up. Okay.
Yeah, let's do it for
Ask the dispatchers to share stories, and those will be going into an article that will get posted on the county news website today. So a lot of them shared some incredible insight. And
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, I have not signed it.
We can hold it up.
Can you wait a minute?
Just hold it.
Take off the.
That's pretty special.
Thank you. Thank you. Keep up the good work down there. They're always. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
There you go. Okay. Andrew Wicks. Discussion under decision to approve and authorize the board to sign resolution 23/2026 entitled Resolution Supporting the Naming of the Interstate 80 Bridge over Tamarack Avenue in Potawatomi County as the second Matt Dickerson Memorial Bridge.
So the DOT approached us a few weeks ago to get a second bridge to be dedicated as a Matt Dickerson Memorial Bridge. And the reason for the second location is the DOT wants to put signs on the interstate memorializing Matt. And the state code requires that the county letter of support. So there is no action other than signing a resolution saying that we support the DOT's intent to install signs on the interstate over Tamarack Avenue. So there's no direct impact to the county other than we support their action. And it is.
Supervisor Jorgensen, would you read this resolution?
Yeah, right here. Okay. Nope, not that one. No.
Yeah, it's the same as. You can read it.
Sit for one.
Oh, I'm sorry. This one for the bridge.
This one right here.
Okay, thank you, Jamie.
Okay, whereas resolution 21/2026 was approved by the Board of Supervisors supporting the naming of the bridge over Interstate 80 on 298th Street and Potawatomi County Road L55 as the Matt Dickerson Memorial Bridge. And whereas a request from the family of Matt Dickerson has been received asking for the Potawatomi County Board of Supervisors consent via resolution of approval and support to additionally name the Interstate 80 Bridge over Tamarack Avenue, G18, the Matt Dickerson Memorial Bridge. And whereas the bridge designated in the Potawatomi County, and whereas the Iowa DOT requires a formal resolution of support to be passed. And it is therefore resolved by the Potawatomi County Board of Supervisors to give its support and consent to the naming this bridge the Match Dickerson Memorial Bridge, dated at Potawatomi County, Iowa, this 14th day of April, 2026.
You need a motion to approve.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Amy, would you do roll call? Please.
Chairman Chang,
Aye.
Supervisor Miller,
Aye.
Supervisor Jones,
Aye.
Supervisor Wickman.
Aye.
Supervisor Jorgensen.
Aye.
Motion carried. Thank you for doing that, Jeff. Okay. That was good. Good for the family. Next up, Andy Wicks, engineer, discussion and or decision to approve and authorize the board to sign resolution 24/2026 entitled resolution approving the updated secondary roads integrated roadside vegetation management plan. We do that every year, correct?
No, this is only the second or third time that we've had to redo it and submit it to the DOT.
Okay, I'm thinking of the one with the noxious weeds. That's what I was thinking of.
Yeah, that's the weed commissioner one, yeah. No, the county participates in an integrated roadside vegetation management program through the DOT. That's a tongue twister. And it simply states that, instead of just going back in after a project or a ditch cleaning and just throwing brome grass, we try to regrow or get native prairies back in our roadsides. So through them, you have to have a plan on file to be eligible for their grants via native seed or equipment. So this is just updating it. Yeah, we've had it for about 20 years now.
Okay,
They just require us to revisit it and, change it along with the times. So
Is that your recommendation, Justin, to approve it?
it is.
I'll move that plan.
Second.
so motion by Wickman, second by Miller to approve resolution 24/2026.
Are you writing?
Will you do a roll call, please?
Chairman Chang,
Aye.
Supervisor Jones,
Aye.
Supervisor Wickman.
Aye.
Supervisor Miller,
Aye.
Supervisor Jorgensen.
No, are you writing that grant, Justin?
Well, there's no grants currently written right now, but once we get this signed, then I will be applying for a couple more grants for this year, yeah.
We are not allowed to write or apply for these grants unless we have this signed. So,
Okay.
he will.
That give us seed, and you said something about equipment.
Yeah, yep. There's a whole gambit of different things that you can apply for.
Okay.
There's a big list on their website of what's eligible and what's not.
That be mowers and stuff?
No, mowers, pickup trucks, things like that, the county is supposed to provide, but it's more specialty, drill seeders, hydro seeders, round bale mulchers, forestry mulchers, things like that.
Okay, good. Thank you, guys. Thanks for coming in for that.
Thank you.
We call you if we have a weed problem.
We would prefer you call me and then I will delegate it out. But if you want Dustin's cell phone number,
Well, you
it's-
stayed right in there, didn't you?
I'm the weed commissioner.
Okay, next up, Andy Wicks, engineer, discussion and or decision to approve and authorize board's chair to sign agreement number 2026-C-095 for project number BRF-006-1(135-38-78 for the Iowa Department of Transportation for replacing bridge on Highway 6, just east of 350th Street. Oh,
Exactly. So the Iowa DOT has several projects they're doing in our county. this year. And one of them is going to be replacing a bridge over Silver Creek, just east of 350th Street on Highway 6. And they are going to be slightly realigning 350th Street, which is the county's responsibility to maintain and operate. So since they are touching our road, they need our approval. And that's the gist of it. I would recommend that we go ahead and,
What's their dates on this? Do you know?
I do not have that with me. It's dated for this year, so they should get going.
Going to be at the same time that the Highway 59 detour is going on.
So I do not have a start time on it, but I can get that. And
Okay.
Is it a complete closure or will they have one lane open at a time?
I have not seen the detour plans. I can get you that answer, but I do not have that information. My thought is that they'd have to keep one lane open at all times because it is Highway 6, but I do not know for certain.
Hmm.
Can you, when you find that out, Andy, can you make sure we have a detour, if there is a detour planned?
Absolutely.
That would need to go to EMA and schools and that kind of stuff, so.
We don't need OSI traffic coming through Carson.
Not at all.
Okay, I need a motion to approve.
I'll do that for you.
Okay,
Second.
got a motion to approve and a second by Wickman and a second by Jorgensen. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Motion carried.
That was a resolution. Need a roll call on that, Brian. It's a resolution. I don't-
That one's not a resolution.
That one.
It just
Look at-
requires the.
It's number E, or letter E.
Okay.
Yeah, it was just an sign an agreement. Discussion, next up is discussion and or decision to approve and authorize board to sign resolution 2026 entitled a resolution authorizing the chairman of the board of the supervisors to sign an interlocal agreement between the county of Potawatomi and the city of Council Bluffs with respect to the 2026 Byron Justice Assistant Grant Program Award. Is anybody in here to speak to that? I don't think so.
We don't have a copy of that either.
It's a grant that they have, both the city and the county apply for every year. And I think the amount is dwindling down, but at least they're still receiving it. So even though I kind of wish they were here, I'll move to approve that.
Okay,
I believe that person's in Vice Narcotics with the city. The burn grant.
It's for JAG.
And then it was, one of our lead investigators on the county side, and I can't get his name right now. But anyway,
Do you know anything about the burn grant?
Not a whole lot.
You know, the amount or who it is or, okay. Like Tim says, they do that every year, so I'll second the motion.
yeah, I think,
okay.
Jim Doty was the one that handled it.
We need to take this resolution.
No,
I don't think we do. Will you do a roll call for this, please? I got a motion by Wickman, a second by Jones. Approve.
Chairman Jay,
Aye.
Supervisor Wickman.
Aye.
Supervisor Jones,
Aye.
Supervisor Jorgensen,
Aye.
Supervisor Miller.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carried. Okay. There's a bridge. Andy, you always bring us a lot of stuff, don't you?
Got to keep you busy.
Goes both ways, doesn't it?
Oh. Okay, thank you. Next up, Kristen Bracker, attorney. Discussion and our decision to approve and authorize the board to sign the agreement with the city of Crescent regarding 911 tower.
Morning. I was going to print off copies of this agreement, but apparently we don't have a printer today.
They're changing out a bunch of them, is what I learned.
But I believe the city of Crescent approved this lease agreement last night at their meeting. I can't remember if I sent the entire board the draft weeks and weeks ago when we were doing it or not.
It's in our packet.
We have it.
Perfect. Wonderful.
And I do have the signed copy.
Beautiful.
I
Brian's got the
have-
signed
I
copy.
kind of know the clerk.
Does the board have any questions about this agreement?
I do. Usually, in my case, there's a site plan with this lease. Do we have a site plan?
So we don't have a site plan. The tower company is going to make the site plan once the land has been leased. Because this isn't the lease for the actual tower, this is the lease for the land where the tower is.
And then I have a real issue with number 5. That it says that any party to this agreement shall have the right to terminate this lease at any time for any reason, providing the other party 2 years' notice.
Yes.
We're spending $1.5 million on this project. So, and hypothetically, Crescent could say, next year, we're canceling this agreement. We have 2 years.
Yes.
I would like to see that either reworked or removed.
Okay, we tried to actually have a longer time period and Crescent didn't agree with it. So this is what Crescent agreed to.
So we're gonna spend all that money on a tower and it can be canceled in 2 years?
I guess.
No.
Kristen, is that not the same language as in other leases?
It is. This language is directly from I can't remember if it's the Waterworks, Council of Waterworks lease. It's the exact same that we use elsewhere.
That could possibly work fine if it were a cellular company with a couple of antennas.
Sure.
We're talking $1.5 million to $2 million here.
I understand that. That's why we tried to have a longer period of time for the notice requirement. But like I said, Crescent wouldn't agree to that.
Well,
Did they give a reason why? I mean, it's just like flat out no.
I mean, I didn't really negotiate a whole lot. I worked with Crescent's attorney in drafting this and that's what he sent me back what they would agree to after we sent the initial proposal.
who was that?
Joe Thornton was here.
Okay. Can you get with them again and see if we can rework that? At minimum, the first term is 10 years, right?
Yes, I believe so.
I would like to see
Is that in here?
Yes.
Yes, the term is in there.
I would like to see that number 5 coincide with the 10-year first term.
If it helps any, Tim, I did discuss this lease agreement with Sam Arkfeld. And he didn't seem to have an issue with that part of it as it's currently written.
So we'd have a minimum of 10 plus 2.
No,
We have a minimum of 2
Plus 1. Or
plus,
we have a minimum of 2 years too. So we're signing an agreement, spending $1.5 million, 2 million, whatever it was. And it can get canceled in 2 years. It just doesn't sound,
Yeah, I have concerns with that.
I think that I'd like for you to go back and see if we can make some changes to that. That's, I can't agree with that. But
Do
that
you
was
feel that's gonna go through?
it didn't when I tried before, so I'm happy to try again.
What's the other, what do you think?
I agree with Mr. Wickman.
I know Motorola's waiting on this. I think the topic's been brought up, it's been talked about. And Crescent has already signed it.
Well, the question would be, are you willing to spend that kind of money and have it taken down in 2 years?
Well, here's my thought. Everybody thought windmills were fine 11 years ago, and now we're having a lot of problems with windmills. So maybe we should shore this up before we spend that kind of money.
Will we revisit the other, leases?
The ones that we currently have,
Yeah,
I mean, I'm not sure what the status of those is. I think we're in the process of reworking one of them right now. I don't know what the structure looks like at that location either, so it might be different.
okay. Board?
I,
Do you have connections in that area that you could speak with?
Yeah.
Would they be rational about this and acquiesce?
Kristen?
well, the amount that we're paying for rent is $500 a month. If we increased the rent and added the 10-year plus the 2-year, would that be an option?
I don't believe I was party to the original negotiations for this contract. I was just given the terms after the fact, so I don't know what the conversation was.
Christian, you can tell them you're being pressured to take a look at this
Sure.
contract again from the supervisors.
Yeah.
I mean, we may have to look at other options. May have to, just throwing it up.
The other options would be another site location in Crescent.
Oh, there we go.
That's still a viable option at this time.
Well, I appreciate the effort that Kristen and the city of Crescent have put together moving forward with this agreement. I can appreciate the concerns of the other board members as well.
Okay, at this point, we will table for no action taken. We'll see what can happen there. Good, okay.
Kristen, do you want one of us to go with you?
I was just gonna send an email, but to start the conversation.
Okay.
But if somebody would like to,
I'll do that.
perfect, Brian and I can
Okay.
work on this.
Okay, next up. Jasmine Elmore, Director of Human Resources, discussion on her decision to approve and authorize the board to sign American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees Local 2364-911 Wage Reopener Agreement, effective July 1st, 2026 through June 30th, 2027. Morning, Jasmine.
So we have used both of those reopener agreements for the 2026-2027 fiscal year. Just first want to say thank you to everybody who was involved in the process. Specifically, we've got our union representatives, and then we've got some employee representatives as well who are involved in that. So just want you to take a look at that. On the back page, you'll also see the breakdown of the salaries and hourly rates. As just here for you to sign today. Got any questions for that? It's going to be the same as the tentative agreements, exactly the same, no changes.
I will make the motion to approve.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, got a motion by Miller and a second by Jones to approve the wage reopener for 911. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you.
Thank you for doing that.
Next up is the American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees, Local 2364 Secondary Roads Employees Wage Reopener Agreement effective July 1st, 2026 through June 30th, 2027.
That is going to be just about the same. It's the same spiel as before, just thanking everybody for that process. So it's both of those wage reopeners that we're going to sign for 911, and this one is for the Department of Roads, the secondary roads.
I'll make the motion to approve.
I'll second.
Motion by Miller and a second by Jorgensen to approve the roads employees wage reopener agreement. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, Jasmine.
Thanks.
Okay. Discussion and or decision on policy committee.
I think we all received the revised handbook. I thought Brent was gonna be here. He's not gonna make it, or?
Say he was gonna be here, but.
Okay.
Take my office, but I don't think he can walk down there. I gotta go check and see that he walked down there.
What does the board want to do with this?
Well, I looked it over. Did you guys?
With the employee handbook or with policy committee? It wasn't clear to me what we were talking about.
I seen an email that the policy committee was gonna take a look at the handbook revisions. Is that what we're doing? Who's on the policy committee? Did we set one?
I don't think we set one.
No, I don't believe we
We
have.
talked about it a couple weeks ago.
We have the policy committee that we were appointed to the first of the year,
That was you
and Tim.
and Tim. Okay.
We didn't get, Matt Wyan on there. We didn't get,
Here. Yes.
All right.
How are you folks?
Went out on your own, huh?
I did, well, with a few other great people, so.
Good.
Somebody from the employment municipal group that we were with, and then we brought in a couple of people from different parts of the state as well, so. Been nice, Jane.
Who else is on this committee? Do you guys remember?
Well, yesterday, the policy committee that was established met to discuss the artificial intelligence policy that David Byer and the AI committee had submitted. And that meeting was yesterday, and Jamie Behrens was the coordinator, Jasmine.
Alicia Schultz is a member, Anthony McCartney and Ryan Holdwell.
And then Tim and I are there as board members.
You were there yesterday.
Yes, and
Okay.
we reviewed the AI policy and had some recommendations to send back to the AI committee. And they are working on a charter document to explain the purpose, the mission and vision of the AI committee. And we probably need to do a similar document for the policy committee so that we can get this all straightened out to go forward.
And that's what this is, correct?
well, yeah. I just don't want to spend a lot of time reviewing, and this is just my opinion, reviewing what we ask our attorney to do. And that was to take a look at our handbook and policies and make sure that, number one, they're legal. Number two, they're up to date. And number three, it protects the county and the employees. And I, I'm not sure that we need a complete review by the policy committee, make changes to anything without legal advice. I don't know. Am I missing anything?
Well,
No,
we,
well,
I
sorry, Susan.
I was just going to say, we talked about pulling out the procedures from the policy manual.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we need to decide first.
I think that, I agree. You have a 292 page manual. I mean, there's obviously lots of things that can be pulled out here and individualized. And my personal thought is always, especially on the reimbursement of employee expenses, some of that stuff. I mean, if you put it in the handbook, that means that's universally applicable. Well, I don't think everyone has a mobile device that's credited back to the county, a credit card, that they do travel on behalf of the county. I like to have those more to the individuals that are then subject to it, so they can sign off individually and say, yes, I will be beholden to this policy. If you have it in here, that means that everybody's under that umbrella. But again, that's more my peccadillo than anything, because I want, when you have policies like that, I want people to sign off on them, to acknowledge them, rather than to go, oh, well, they're in section, whatever it is, 300, I didn't know about it, da, 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 da. They're more enforceable, the more, you have people, you know, the more notice you give to someone just under the law, the more enforceable everything is. The ones that, you know, I think that we really focus on, obviously, were your drug testing program. I mean, that's, you know, one that's very individualized and has a lot of special rules for public employees rather than private employers. Then obviously, section 100, I mean, that's the bread and butter of what we do. You know, because when a lot of people look at handbooks, they look at it as rules, that sort of thing. You know, it certainly is that, but it's also, you know, good evidence that you have legal policies. So we added several additional policies that weren't in there because of the change of the law. So, I mean, in as far as if you're reviewing, 100 is sort of frozen in amber there insofar as it's, you know, those are legally binding requirements on the county as employers. Personal conduct, that's one that there are parts of it that maybe you can look at, but a lot of that, again, is going to be standards that you're going to have to abide by if there's a termination, something like that. So when we look at it, that's how we look at it. Again, reimbursement of employee expenses, employee benefits. I'm open to that. County premises and work areas, say, as long as we're doing it right with OSHA and, you know, any other administration that might look at it, I'm fine with that. Same with safety and security, as long as we're abiding by the law. And the pay practices, I don't see anything wrong with your pay practices, other than, you know, we kind of flesh some things out just in case you're ever audited by, you know, Department of Labor or Homeland Security. It's just easier by changing some of the wording and things like that to make it more defensible, more understandable to them. So that's really where we look at. But if you want to add more policies, that's fine. But I think I endorse what you said, pull some of these things out, make this a little bit simpler. Don't have, you know, everything in your backpack. I always think about the scene from the beginning of Platoon with Willem Dafoe and Charlie Sheen, where he said, you don't need all this in your backpack. You know, you got a long haul. That's what I try to do with these things, is make it a lot more streamlined, a lot more easy to understand. And where someone, you know, an employee can sit down and read it in an hour, 2 hours, 292 pages. I mean, that is a full-on Tolstoy novel of requirements. And it's pretty easy to sit in a deposition or witness stand and go, I had no idea about that policy. I never saw it. Or your supervisor even go, I had no idea about that policy. I knew nothing about it, because
it's a giant document. And I'm not saying, you folks have a complex operation here. As complex as any foundry, any workplace that I go into. But that doesn't, all that complexity doesn't need to be in the handbook. Some of that can be department by department with policies, with job descriptions. That's how you deal with that rather than throw it all in, the backpack and, decide this is how you have to work with it. And this isn't the biggest one I've ever seen. I've had one with smaller public agencies, that were 599 pages. When they got rid of the HR person, we had to rework it because nobody knew what was in it. And, that was a multi-year affair of doing that. So this one is almost there. It's relatively good, but I don't disagree that if you want additional policies, especially like an AI policy, a social media policy, I always advocate for those to be outside of the handbook. And, just because, probably 18 months ago, people may not know what AI was. And whenever I ask people, what's the most popular platform on social media today, they might give me a variety of answers. And then I say, okay, well, what's the most popular platform in 6 months from now? Well, no one knows. And you have to have those policies outside the handbook so they're more flexible and you can change and adapt. Because if you put it in the handbook, a lot, you're going to say, well, we revised it, we revisited it. And that's, again, a whole policy, and you have to reissue it to everyone. And make sure that everyone's educated on it, make sure everyone signs off on it, which is, a much bigger thing than say emailing out the new social media policy with, receipt return to everybody on their email. And then you can rely on that people then got it. Or have people sign off on it individually, that have access to computers, because you might not have everyone with access.
Your work is done though, correct?
Yeah, my work is done. All I do from this point is if you guys have a policy that you want to do and you want me to take a look at it and adjust it, but frankly, our work is best spent on section 100, which is the terms of employment, section 700, personal conduct, the drug testing, some of the other safety things where you're going to have actual litigation. But yes, for all intents and purposes, my work's done unless someone has a question on the,
So I'm assuming your suggestion would be to have us assign a group of employees, take a look at that before the board votes on it?
Like I said, if you want to add policies to it, you want to do that's fine. There's some, like I said, there's some things in 100, the way that it's phrased, the way that it's written is the way that the law requires you to write it in the current status. So you might not like how it's written. I don't like how, I don't care. It's how, courts have read it. It's how administrative agencies have looked at it and said, okay, is this right or is this wrong? Because there were even terms of phrases in the old one that, hey, yeah, that was perfectly fine to say it then. Now we have to say it this way because courts have ruled this is the right way to give people notice on policy. So again, if there's a concentration, I just kind of stay out of those because I just shrug my shoulders. That's the way it's got to be written. If you want additional policies, that's fine, but we put in everything, that you're required to have under the law, including goofy stuff like calling the ombudsman, which has been a rule since 2022 that no one has in their handbook, and I always have to dig it out because if you don't, then that's automatically something you can call as a whistleblowing offense. So we add that one in routinely.
Okay, so our next move is to let Ms. Miller's group look at it and then go from there.
Not Miss Miller's group, it's the policy committee for the county.
I'm one, I don't like the idea of adding anything to a handbook. I think a county handbook ought to apply to all of our employees. Is that the way you read it too?
The way I read it, I've been taught, and I teach it to people is handbook applies, if it's in the handbook, it applies to every single person in the organization. Policies apply to departments, job descriptions apply to individuals.
Okay, so
You have to have
two entities there.
You have to have three of those, you have to have all three things to effectively supervise and, award and discipline people. If they're abiding by all those things, then fine. And also legal requirements, those sorts of things. So I like less in the handbook, more in policies, because policies are much more flexible and they're more towards individual departments rather than everyone. And job descriptions obviously are the meat and potatoes of, are you doing your job? Are you good at your job or are you not good at your job? That's, those things I look at as much, as equally as important as a handbook. And frankly, job descriptions are much more applicable day to day. I mean, we shouldn't be talking about a handbook disciplining someone. Handbook gives you the right to discipline. Job description gives you the reason to discipline, or policy gives you the reason to discipline.
Okay, so the next step today is for us to pass this on to the policy committee, is that correct?
Well, I think that we need to have, some people take a look and review it along with us. But I just don't want it to be a 5 or 6 month long thing. Are there policies in this handbook that you would take out?
Yeah, and I think we've got notes in there on that. Like I said, that whole section, I think it's 300. I mean, and again, I understand why it's in there, but again, I don't know that it needs to be, those need to be handed out to individuals who are subject to those things, like, automobile expenses, travel expenses, credit card, association costs, that sort of thing. I get why it's in here, and that's, and again, I just prefer giving those to the individual, say, hey, you're getting a credit card. Along with the credit card, here's our credit card policy. Sign off on that individually. So if you do abuse the credit card, we have something that's signed individually by you that says, hey, I wasn't going to do what I did, and I did it, rather than putting it at page whatever in here, and they had, oh, I had no idea that I couldn't, buy that the hotel I made a reservation for couldn't be for, my family reunion or something like that, which I've had.
But the rewrite is a process, so we're trying to come up with the next step of the process today, which is what?
I think we look it over, the changes we done, and bring it back to the board to sign.
Right, but that would be the policy committee that would do that.
Correct. Do you have any concerns at this
No,
time,
I
Matt or
100% agree
Kristen?
with Brent. I mean, I think our last discussion, when we were looking to engage Brent Services, we had said that we had sort of, a handbook at the top. Then we had sort of policies, and procedures below that, and then maybe guidance, even lower than that, and so I'm just sort of looking at it, I wanted to make sure that we had a handbook that covered us, that applied to everybody, right? So we're all subject to the same laws on discrimination, sexual harassment, OSHA, ombudsman reporting, all of those things apply to everybody. It doesn't really matter whether Matt Wilbur likes that or the board likes it. That's the law. But you may have other policies, like, for example, who's working where, right? I, as county attorney, if I want to allow my employees to hybrid in, I get to do that, right? You may say, for people that answer the board, you don't want them to do that. That's not something you'd put in a handbook, because that's not something that the board can impose upon the individual elected officials. Same thing with, like, the sheriff. You can say your place of work is the courthouse. That doesn't apply to the sheriff's office or to roads, because they're required to do, various patrols, et cetera around. So
That reminds me too, Matt, there's one section in here that I believe where you have each of the departments broken down into work weeks and work days and that sort of thing. I just asked those department heads, and obviously the elected officials review those to make sure that those are consistent with what their practices are. All we could do was really organize it in a good fashion. I don't know what actual practices are, but those are things too that you can excise out of there and just go, hey, generally our work week is Saturday to Sunday. Work days are 8 hours a week, or 5 days, 8 hours a day, and leave that in there, and then have individual policies from the departments. But if you want to leave it in here, just make sure that it aligns with reality. Because again, you can't discipline someone for not attending or being tardy or something like that if that isn't your actual policy.
I would suggest a policy committee, enough people on that committee that break this handbook down into sections and have groups
Well, we just gotta review what he has, his firm has,
260 some
reviewed.
pages.
Yeah, but we're not gonna review the whole
Well,
book.
yeah, no, we
We're gonna
can't.
review what they have fixed or,
Updated.
updated. Thank you.
But what I hear is that our handbook is too long, and what Brent has done doesn't make it shorter. So we need to identify what procedures need to be pulled out of it. And then look at,
Yeah, I never make that call because I look at that as an administrative, HR call. I'm just looking to make sure everything's legal. I don't say, certainly I'll say, I don't know that you need this in here, that sort of thing, but that's your call at the end. of the day.
Well, my opinion.
Yeah.
Okay, I mean, hours, how many hours do you have to work to get to overtime, double time?
Yeah.
That fluctuates in departments. That doesn't apply to every employee, county employee. I'm looking for a document that applies at a county handbook, that applies to every employee. Okay, outside of that, then the departments can have their own handbook to apply for their employees. That's my opinion.
Are we rewriting the whole book?
Well, I don't know. Like I said, 260 some pages. Who's gonna read that? Who's gonna read 260 some pages?
what if we did this? What if we
I did it like 5 times, so,
what
You're the
if,
expert, yeah.
I gave up reading for 3 days afterwards. I
Well,
can tell
you're
you
the
that.
expert, and I'm depending on your
Yeah.
evaluation.
what if we establish an employee handbook committee? And it includes a representative from every single department within the county. And we hammer this thing out in 2 sessions. We pull everybody in here, we pull up the revised legal stuff. But then we actually look and say, does this apply as a procedure? Can we pull out this section and make it an appendix, or can we pull it out completely? And we'll keep it on task. I know Jamie does a good job of keeping us on task, and we work through it and get the employee handbook done. In addition, we formally establish the updated employee guidance and governance committee to replace the policy committee. And going forward, then that committee would be responsible for additional updates to the handbook. But the only way we're going to get this handbook updated is if we put a focused effort on it and it becomes somebody's key objective and not a committee that we may get to attend if our workload permits.
Be in the handbook and everything that you think that should not be in the handbook.
As far as
Policies
policies,
used together, that way they know what they can't touch and things that they can remove.
yeah, and like I said, 100 and 700 are kind of the ones that I think are frozen in amber, because those are the ones that really have legal implications. There are certainly others that just, as I've talked about here, is like, I don't know that this needs to be in here because it's not universally applicable, and you're just sort of,
And
you're just adding stuff here that would be better aimed at individuals, either through your job description, through your individual policies, however you want to do that, because then you can actually enforce it. The more you sort of water this stuff down, it's harder to enforce it because it is such a cumbersome document. So we want to make it as easily understandable, accessible, and even some of the rewrites I did, we're pulling out paragraphs and things like that. So, and again, my thinking is always from, is there litigation? And so we point out different paragraphs and go, look, you're telling me you didn't read this. This isn't just stuck in the middle of this. This is, open and obvious in how it's written. But I do this for private entities, public entities. I treat everybody the same. There are definitely significantly different rules from public to private. I know what helps and what doesn't.
the handbook could be cut in half almost.
I don't know of half, but I guarantee a third in here could be just policies handed out to individuals.
I've been through these rewrites before, and if you our organization has about 17 different departments, if you want to call them that. If you had 17 people in a room for 292 pages, you're talking 6 months. So my suggestion is we give it to the department heads and the elected officials. Say, we're gonna give you 2 weeks to look at this. And then we assign it to like a 5-person board, commission, study, panel, group, whatever, and give them about another 2 weeks. And then we tackle it from that point. Because otherwise, this is gonna turn into a beast.
'Cause, yeah,
Okay,
you just
what do we
solicit-
do after that? Do we go back to Brent or do we?
Brent's work is done.
I mean, I'd
Okay.
say if you just solicit input, I mean, I don't hate Susan's idea of having all the departments get together, but we've got quite a few departments that are 1 or even 2 people.
Yeah.
Trying to get, 20 people's schedules to line up, is tough. But if we all had like a 2-week deadline to provide any input or, opinions and thoughts, into it. Obviously, I want to spend some time myself, because I'll give you my advice about what I think we could pull and not. You can take that or not take it. But I think, if we had a couple weeks to do that, and then you figured out a smaller group to get together, I do think you're gonna have a much better chance of having this done before the end of this fiscal year instead of before the end of the calendar.
I like that.
I
idea.
retired from Union
I like
Pacific. Okay,
Yeah.
before I was hired 15 some years ago, I had to take 2 tests.
Okay.
Yeah, not,
One, I had to read their handbook,
he said the same thing.
and then take a test on the policies of their handbook. And then I had to take a test on technical tests, because I was in the electronics business, before I was even hired. So is that something that you might, maybe a possibility? Employees that come, that the county hires, they read the handbook and then they take a test on what they absorbed, policy wise? Is that something that's?
I've never done that, but I've done individualized training for the handbook where you go through the policies and point out things and say something like that. Now, if you took a test at the end of that, okay, but I've done several where we have a handbook and you bring in groups. Basically, I lived there for 2 days and you have hour, 2 hour, and you go through the entire handbook and go, okay, do you understand that? Ask questions. You got a PowerPoint on the whole thing. I'm not suggesting we do that because that's, that can be a lot. The biggest one is making sure that you have annual training for your supervisors on your complaint process, your sexual harassment process, those sorts of things. I mean, those are things that are expected and, required by the Iowa Civil Rights Commission, the EEOC, entities like that. They expect that you have yearly training on those things.
Jasmine, do you have anything to add?
I don't think this was a great idea, but I really do like Keith's idea of having us review for 2 weeks. Having the other committee review and kind of dial down for another 2 weeks to make this a little more effective and more digestible for us to be able to, pull them out.
Okay.
Well, as Brent said, 1 and 7 are pretty much legal requirements, right?
Yeah.
3 probably shouldn't be in there because that pertains to automobile expense, credit cards, that kind of stuff. So if you look at pay practices, I mean, I can see real easy assign that to Jamie or Mary Ann in the auditor's office to review that. I mean, that's an auditor area. And employee benefits, that could be the auditor or HR. County premises, work areas, go to Jason Slack. I mean, that's where the expertise is there. Safety and security, that would go towards Garfield. And that leaves us with absence from work. There's some legal requirements in that area too, right?
Yeah.
Brent?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that one, I look at absence from work because it's got so much leave in there. So if you wanted to add another leave policy, so you guys are pretty well covered on all of that. I know some places that do like voter leave and a few other different sorts of leave. So if you wanted to add that stuff, that's perfectly acceptable, but it's not a legal requirement. What I look at is, is this appropriate, legally? And if it's, so things like funeral leave is one that's open to whatever you want to do. Court and jury service leave, you can write it this way or you can write it that way. And you've written it this way, so we just sort of made sure that was written the best way that way. But really, court and jury service leave is two different versions, so we looked at that. And then FMLA is entirely, a legal, document. And then the rest, is completely kind of up to you, how you want to do it. Even sick leave is sort of, there's a right way there's a good way and there's a bad way to write it, so we try to have it authored as well as possible.
Did we look at that?
Yeah.
Did you guys look at that?
Yeah, I believe we looked at sick leave too, yeah.
And you changed some of that?
I don't know if we did. I thought we changed a few things just on reporting, maybe, but maybe I'm thinking on a different leave. Because that's where you really get stuck in sick leave is, people get in trouble for not reporting it correctly. And you can either leave it as, hey, everybody's got to report it this way, or your department head will issue a policy about how they want to do it. And I've seen people get in, rows about, you're supposed to call in and you send a text or something. Those are unnecessary. Those are unnecessary work issues, just have a good policy there. Say how you get it and, make sure, or can you report it or can you have a spouse report it, that sort of thing. So.
Well, I think Pete's proposal to have people look it over for 2 weeks and go from there will be helpful. Because I agree, I think it could become a beast, like you said.
Jasmine, can you send that out and then if they have input, who do they respond to?
You mean on the email?
Yeah,
Maybe we could put them in, there's a few different ways we can do it. I can figure out. I know there's one way we can put them all in, like one document in like a Teams. And then there's other ways where they can use track changes. So there's a few different ways they can do that if there's feedback.
okay, please put a deadline on that so we don't.
2 weeks, and then are we saying that after that 2 weeks, it's gonna go to the Employee Guidance and Governance Committee?
This committee,
Yes.
yes.
To review, and then upon that, then we bring it back to you all to sign, correct?
I think
We can
that's the
put
way to
in
do it.
teams. I would vote for teams. I only say that because if we do track changes, I could end up with somebody adds, somebody subtracts, somebody adds, and all of a sudden, those changes absorb what we're dealing with. So
Okay.
teams, we can just sort of put our own.
We got the 2 weeks, then we got 2 weeks here. How long would you need after that?
I'm gonna look at it the first 2 weeks. I'll tell you what my input is
Okay,
for your stage one.
perfect. So do we do it on the 28th or the 5th? No, that's the first 2 weeks, the 28th. And the 12th. We could sign the thing by the 19th, couldn't we?
May?
Yeah.
May 19th.
Good goal.
Who are you recommending sending this to, Keith? Department heads?
For the first go around, yes.
Okay.
And then they can't come back in a month and say, well, I didn't know anything about that, or I wish we would have done it this way.
It is sort of a speak now or forever hold your peace. This is your opportunity to give input for the first 2 weeks. Doesn't mean your input will be accepted by the group, but at least this is a chance for everybody to weigh in.
Okay,
Are we taking out 3?
I think that's up to the committees.
Correct.
Are we in agreement here? Do we need,
I don't have any issue.
we got a
sending that.
discussion and or decision on the policy committee? Do we
I don't
want to
know
make
that
a
you need-
motion of how this proceeds?
I think you're fine, but I don't know that I think we've got pretty good guidance. I don't know that you need a formal motion.
Okay,
If you want one, have at it.
no, I'm good with it. I think we've all agreed. Any other comments?
Somebody gonna summarize what we just agreed to so we can communicate to,
We're going to have Jasmine send out to the department heads what their suggestion is. Read it over for 2 weeks, correct? Then it comes back with their suggestions, if they have any, to the policy committee. Then they've got 2 weeks to go over it, decide what they're gonna do, and that'll put us at the 12th. We'll go from the 14th to the 28th will be the end of the department heads. The 12th will be the end of the policy committee. We'll put it on the agenda and do it on the 19th. That sound good? Okay,
Sounds good to me.
is that good enough?
Good enough to me.
All right. Next up,
Thank you, Brett.
Yeah, thank you very much.
yeah. Thanks a lot. Good luck. No
You
luck
do.
involved, huh?
What's that?
No luck involved.
Yeah.
Go to work.
Yeah, just more work.
Good idea, Keith.
Yes, sir.
Discussion and a decision on finance and budget director interviews. Jasmine, are you in on this one? It's discussion and decision on finance and budget director interviews.
Put it on the agenda.
I put it on the agenda.
Okay.
I want to see what direction this board wants to go with it. I'd prefer that the board interviews the candidates and, we don't need a interview team. I would ask the board to consider.
I think that's how we have hired Mitch, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Then we bring
But that
them
was
all in.
And then
5 years ago.
Then I'm requesting that we get the applications that were submitted for this position provided to the board unredacted.
I don't care one way or the other myself. I've looked over their qualifications and I thought I saw two that really impressed me. And I don't care what their names are or anything.
Thank you.
I think we do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever we gotta do and bring them in, who we agree on for next week.
I would just say that, never in my career have I received a employment application or an application for a board or commission where the name was redacted, experience redacted. Referrals, references being redacted. I've just never seen that before.
That doesn't sound like an application to me.
I mean, is this even a real person?
Yeah.
I mean,
AI submitted.
Well, this is the statement I would like to make. It's important for all applicants, specifically those who have applied for the budget and finance director position, some who may be watching this meeting right now, to know that hiring best practices will be utilized throughout this process as guided by our HR director and employment law. Confidentiality will be maintained and references won't be contacted until appropriate. So by having the applications that were submitted, it was real easy to determine that there were some better qualifications than others. And I really appreciated the fact that I was thinking we were having a hiring committee that would review and submit the top 2 to the board for review. My time is precious, as is everybody else's, and I just don't think we need to bring in lesser qualified applicants when we can focus on the best applicants for the position.
well, get an opinion from the board and have them send it to Jasmine, who they'd like to interview, and we can move on from there. We don't have to interview 5 people. I mean, it's not like we're hiring a $1 million position here, a very important position, but not $1 million one. And I think that I'm disappointed that a lot of the information was redacted. And if this board has to have information redacted from applications for employment, and they can't keep their mouth shut. Maybe they shouldn't sit on this board.
You got a legal opinion?
I mean, there's no, I mean, this is so much a legal opinion, but I am gonna weigh in. My understanding when this board first talked about this is that you were looking at a hiring committee and that there was gonna be input from other stakeholders. Obviously, this is a position that answers to the board, so the board gets to decide whatever hiring process it wants to use. But I can tell you that I'm not looking for, as a county attorney, I'm not looking for this board to hire just a mouthpiece for the board that is gonna answer just to the board as a budget and finance director. One of the values that Mitch had is that I trusted that I could go to him, and that I could give him my input and that he could give me an honest opinion about what he thought would fly, what would not fly, what we had money for, et cetera. I'm gonna have a lot less confidence in whoever this board hires if everybody, one of us that are department heads, elected officials, have no input into that hiring process. So if you choose to do it, that's your call, but just be advised. You know, I really appreciated that I could go to Mitch, and he shot me down on some things. I said, hey, what do you think about this? He's like, ain't happening, you don't have room in the budget. But I appreciated that I was getting honest. It wasn't just that he was filtering information between us and the board. He was actually an advocate, I think, for everyone. That's why I think that a committee is a good idea. As far as redacting out, I mean, I get what Tim's saying about, you know, if you can't trust people not to keep their mouths shut. But I've heard things that were said in closed session before, said out and about in public, you know, as well with various board members. And you can't unring that bell. I mean, if somebody has applied for a job and something gets out to their employer, or somebody thinks they've got a buddy that knows them and wants to sort of, you know, check that out, you can't unring that bell. So whether I don't disagree, it's a little different process, but when you get people that are applying for jobs that don't necessarily want their employers to know, it's different than when you're applying through one chain of command versus 5 people with independent and different ideas. So if you want them to, so I mean, it's your decision. You get to make whatever you want to do as a board. I would prefer that there be a few of us that have some input, at least in helping screen some of those. That's how they do. I know I sat on a committee for the sheriff when he was hiring a new jail administrator. This is back when Jeff Danker was sheriff, and they brought in the police chief and myself and a couple other people, and we gave some input to that. And, you know, I know that there have been those hiring committees that have been set up. I know when the mayor goes to hire a new police chief, they've got a hiring committee, right? And they submit a couple of names to the chief, to the mayor, and the mayor gets to make that choice. And there, I think you get better buy-in from your stakeholders. If you don't care about buy-in from your stakeholders, you don't need to worry about it. Just make your hire. I'm putting a pitch in for myself that I'd like to have some input over that process.
So right now, we do not know the names of the candidates. And as a board, we can agree right now if we want to interview applicant A, B, C, D, and E. We can talk about that right now. And nobody knows who we're talking about, and anybody in the public doesn't know who we're talking about. But if we disclose those names, that conversation is different. I mean, we have it on the agenda right now to approve interviews for the finance and budget person. We can look at our stack and say, who are the top 2 we want to interview? If it's number 3 and number 6, I don't know. I don't have it in front of me. But we can move forward today and get this position filled, since it is an important position. But if we know the names, then it becomes more complicated for us to discuss it in an open meeting.
Well, I disagree, but that doesn't matter.
I looked at the qualifications. That's what I was looking at.
It's real easy to hone in on them and know who was qualified.
Correct. Comments?
Well, I worry about, number one, establishing a precedent where we do our own hirings in the future. And then secondly, I worry about, we don't have the hard skills necessary to do background checks and calling references. And, you know, we would also, if there's 5 of us, we would duplicate some of that kind of stuff, or we'd forget something.
We have no business doing that.
Well, and that's why I like the idea of having a professional HR director do that. And then we would narrow down 2, 3 of the people in a final interview and then kind of go from there. I never thought about the buy-in aspect that Mr. Wilbur brought up, and that's probably important too.
You know, I contacted our other department heads and they've never received an application that was redacted, so I didn't appreciate it very much, but that's me. Trying to find the email on the applications. I don't believe they were numbered, nor do I believe they were lettered. So I don't know how you would.
We could ask our HR director to do that, and we pick the top 2 and go from there.
I think we can all agree there's only, of the 7, there was basically 2 or 3 that were qualified for this position, or at least more qualified than the others. So I think we've done a pretty good job of getting down to that number at least.
Well, I certainly agree that we don't need to waste time on those that are not sufficiently qualified. You know, I'm there. I would certainly, Jasmine, I would turn that over to you, and then you can do your recommendations, and then we interview those people.
Will you letter or number each of those so we can choose those? And next week we'll choose which 2 each of us wants.
Well, let's,
Having you all choose the applicants, or is the committee choosing the applicant, the committee with the department heads and 3 elected officials?
I know when we hired for this job the first time, I believe we did it as a board. That's what we did, wasn't it?
I think we did a pretty damn good job of it too.
Yeah.
Jasmine, is the hiring committee been set up for this position? It's already been put in motion?
And I wanted to wait and see what was needed here today. But I was under the impression that there was a hiring committee to review these applicants. And then, you know, Mr. Wickman wanted to see all of the applicants, not necessarily select applicants. So I just wanted to be clear on that piece.
So who's on this hiring committee?
And 3 elected officials at least. So it would be myself, it would be the auditor's office that's represented. I've asked the person from there that is not available today, but the attorney's office, I have the treasurer's office who has accepted. I've got IT who has accepted, the sheriff's office, and then possibly one more department head. But I wanted to make sure that we had at least 3 elected officials and at least 3 department heads to review.
We have that option, or we have the option today to make the motion to have Jasmine set up interviews with our top 2 or top 3 candidates. And we can make that motion today, and then we can submit to Jasmine who our top 2 and top 3 candidates are.
So I just want to be clear. So generally what we're moving towards in our departments, you're seeing more of the modern effort to make sure that there is a level playing field. So you want to make sure that you're excluding implicit biases. We all have them, right, wrong, or indifferent. So it's not a personal thing. It's really about making sure that everybody has a fair shot when they are applying for the roles. Because this was mine, you all were more of a pilot group because you are the leadership of Pot County. So I wanted to see that kind of come into effect, and that was something that we could possibly move toward in the future. But because this was my, excuse me, my role specifically that I am recruiting for, that's why you're seeing that. So it's not, you know, if you haven't seen it around the county, you know, other people have recruited for those roles. So this wasn't a personal thing. It was really just trying to see, you know, how we can move the county forward, like we've been asked.
I appreciate that. I'm reading through those. You look at the qualifications.
Focus in on the qualifications, and I think, you know, that will help, and it will ease peace of mind as well, because I've also had some employees who have come to me that were concerned about some of the integrity of the process and how some things got out and how it could appear if, you know, their supervisor found out and they possibly didn't get the job, but now you have to go back within your departments and a fairly small departments within the county, and people know that you're trying to apply out. So that makes some people nervous. So I wanted to make sure that we overall gave everyone a fair shot and made sure that we trust the integrity of the process.
Makes sense.
There are
Comments?
There are five applicants, five, applications,
7 applicants.
7?
Correct.
Okay. Out of the 7, I would certainly like to at least interview 3.
There's at least 3, yeah. We're not numbered again because the number was gonna go to the actual hiring committee. I didn't know if you all, so I was just sending you the application so you could, the hiring committee or the review committee is actually going to have the same applications. They're not gonna be unredacted. You won't get the actual application until that person comes in for their interview.
Question, comment?
We have an HR department. I say we let them do it.
I agree with that.
I also think there should be a time frame though, because I worry that we're gonna lose applicants and then want to get that person started.
More important stuff for that to be
Okay,
than this.
let's rock on. If she's gonna pick somebody from the auditor, the attorneys, the treasurer, the IT and the sheriff to whittle them down to 3, let her do it.
All right,
Is that what you want?
I need a motion. Let HR handle the top 3. Is anybody doing a motion?
I'll do the motion
Is that how you want it? Are you?
for HR to bring us the top 3 candidates for interviews.
Do that.
Those persons will be interviewed in this setting.
Yes, so they will have the option that they can request a closed session for the interview or not. They have to request it.
Okay,
But yes, the decision.
Need a
will be made
second?
here.
I'll second it.
got a motion by Miller and a second by Jones to approve the HR to pick the top 3. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, please mark it down that Jorgensen left and did not vote. Okay, committee appointments. Jones?
Nothing.
Okay.
Thanks, Jasmine.
Yeah. I was at the VSO, I went to McClure ribbons cutting, met with the mayor, and I done the breakfast chair, the Holiday Inn. They reviewed the hospitals. And then I was at the legislative coffee. We had the Great American Rail Trail yesterday. Susan?
I also attended the McClure Engineering ribbon cutting, the quarterly department head meeting, Walnut City Council, the CV Chamber breakfast, and the ISAC legislative update on Friday, which gave me conversation points for the legislative copy on Saturday. We had policy committee yesterday, and like I said, we looked at the AI policy, which is new, and we need to get that adopted. And that,
Tim? Okay, next up, public comments. We got any? Did you fill out the paper, Bob?
I had it in
Oh, you
hand.
weren't here at the beginning. Bob, in interest of keeping going, come on up, state your name and address. You got 3 minutes and then fill that out, please. We gotta keep
Okay.
that on record.
My name's Bob Litch. My address is 20201 Bonnie Lane. I live south of the disaster that is Whispering Oaks. It's at the corner of Franklin and Greenview Drive. I've asked numerous times at the city council meeting, and now I will ask you guys again, it was last October when I asked, who is responsible for Greenview Drive? County or city?
I believe it's split down the middle, is it not?
It's a split jurisdiction. However, we have an agreement with the city of Council Bluffs that they will maintain the roadway.
Well, the issue
City
is,
maintains Greenview.
this goes clear back to 2014. That neighborhood is flooding to the south, flooding our properties, wiping out the ditch that has been there for years and years. We keep getting the excuse that it's gonna be bad, that they're gonna change all the water and it's gonna go north. Well, if anybody has time, they should drive through there and
Went
see.
through there.
Well, did you see the disaster that caused last Thursday night?
Mm-hmm.
There was 5 inches of mud in the street the next morning, and I called the county and said, is somebody gonna do something about this mud? And they said, we've been told about it, we're on it. And you know what? It's still there. 3 inches of mud down the sides. We're taking on more water and more rain and more storm sewer from everybody. And the storm sewer in the new addition, drive through there again if you get a chance. They got wire mesh over the drains with pig blankets. And so all the rain, and I know there's no vegetation growing in there yet. Well, all the roofs and all the concrete surfaces are gonna make it even worse in the future. We have talked to an attorney, just to see if we have a reason for our complaint. The attorney informs us that it is a shared responsibility of the city and the county. I talked to you last year, Brian, about our streets. Our streets are getting wiped out because of the extra water that we're taking. There are giant sinkholes in people's yards. Right now, if you go there, well, I have plenty of pictures. The silt fence that they put in the ditch, it's wiped out. It's been wiped out for 3 months. Nobody does nothing about it. We keep getting these, oh, that was 100-year storm. Well, we get 3 of them a month now. So this 100-year storm stuff doesn't cut it. We have problems south of us, which they must not feel their problems are that problematic. They didn't show up today. Well, Wilshire, there's numerous people that have the $20,000 septic systems that run out into the waterway, that the water is flooding into their yard and not going through the radon, whatever, or ultraviolet deal before it goes down. And then, and what do we got? They've had one $800 fine for sewer running down the ditch. Something really needs to be done. And I understand there was a meeting last week. I understand, I missed that one.
Someone spoke publicly,
Okay.
yes.
I was told, and I looked for the notes, didn't find them. I was told that it was because of trash that the people of the neighborhood were putting in the ditch. Well, that is totally not true. I'm the president of the road association. You might get some grass clippings in that ditch, but nobody's putting their limbs, leaves, or any garbage in that ditch. But you go on the other side, and both their catch basins, their proportioning blocks that's supposed to make our life better, both of them are clear full of garbage. Giant whole 4x8 sheets of styrofoam, sheets of wrap that goes around rolled roofing for your ice dams. I mean, all the construction workers, and I know stuff happens, but there's they call them t-shirt bags, grocery bags, thousands of them, and I mean thousands of them. I got pictures, and nobody's doing nothing about this. And so for somebody to say that it was our trash that is causing the problem down the way, it's not. The problem is we're taking on so much water in a ditch that we used to be able to mow across that there's places that are 7 feet deep now. And it doesn't matter whether you got 30,000 gallons of water in your catch basin and it comes down all at once, or if it takes 3 days, which I took more pictures this morning. Hasn't rained since Saturday. There's still water running 6 to 8 inches deep down the ditch today. I don't know what we want.
I talked with the DNR, and the DNR and the city were meeting yesterday. And they may have gotten another $800 fine, but what happened is they switched developers. Each they've switched it like 2 or 3 times now. So then they pay an $800 fine and they're out of there. Then the next one comes along, they're not gonna do anything. And their hands are tied. The city, their original plot was to take more water to the north. And it's all changed from developer to developer, and now here we are. So that's a private road, and we don't take care of your development. Andy, did you go out and look at the discharge of that one tube?
I did, yeah.
And what's the verdict? Do we need to cut that down a little bit so it flows freer? Can we?
We can. It is not a county roadway or a county maintained ditch. And so I would not recommend
No.
using our resources.
We can't do it, then we take liability for it, and we can't do it to the
That
citizens.
goes back to my question to you, Brian. You guys came through and said that them roads should have been being maintained by the county throughout.
Like Greenview, but then it's a
Up
city.
on Hill, when we were talking snow removal, and you said that that the roads are legal, but there would be an assessment. We've been paying this assessment for 65 years in that neighborhood. We've been paying our taxes every month, every year, just like everybody else, and getting only, because you threw this up there, the sheriff department is the only thing that comes into our now private edition, that all these people from this other neighborhood are driving through. They come down, they drive through our private neighborhood and ruin the streets that all the residents are paying for. And there is a lot of stuff here that's going on. If you guys want to handle it all, or you guys want to say no, the county ain't gonna do nothing, even though we've had the same taxes everybody else does, that's okay. But we're gonna end up, this is gonna end up being litigation at some point, because the city's dumping water on us and the county don't care.
The county can't go into your development and rework it. That, years ago, that was a private development. And that hasn't changed since it became a development.
Okay, but what's that got to do with the water going through the Pony Curve?
Then that has to do with the DNR and the city.
Thanks for listening. All I can say is that this keeps going round and round. And the city blames the
I
county,
get it.
and now the county's saying we gotta talk to the DNR. And
No,
eventually
I haven't
somebody
said
is
that.
gonna
I
have
did
to
talk
take-
to the DNR. I did talk to that lady, and she was meeting with the developer yesterday.
Okay,
So what happened at that meeting, I do not know. I haven't got,
the DNR lady has been very informative and good easy to talk with.
I've talked with her quite a while.
I just can't, I am making a complaint. I think it's horrific that all we do is get a runaround.
Mhm.
And our ex-mayor was the biggest pain in the ass of everybody.
Let's not, we can't do that.
Okay, I'm sorry, but he kept saying that it was the county's fault. And this is the first time that anybody told me that that even our road is a shared road. Drive down Greenview today and look, there's still mud 3 inches deep on each side of the road. And it's gonna cause an accident. Somebody, how about a motorcyclist that on a rainy morning and that gets out there, somebody's gonna get hurt or killed. And nobody really is taking responsibility for it. So if somebody gets hurt on that street, who's gonna share the responsibility, the county or the city? Or will it just be nobody takes responsibility for it? That mud's been there for 3 days, 5 days now. And it's Hasn't rained for 2 days since Saturday, and the mud's still wet laying on the road. Why can't the contractor that caused all the problem take a skid loader out there and clean it up? They're the ones that caused the issue. And all their storm sewer drains I mean, I've been around a lot of them, but I never seen them put fencing and then the pig blankets, so no mud would go into their storm sewer. And that's all coming down to one proportioning block. You were there, you looked at it. The one proportioning block, and I don't think the proportioning block was built big enough to handle all the water that we're getting and we're gonna continue to get. The settlement ponds, they're great, everything, it was a good idea. And especially with two of them, there's a lower and an upper. The upper is mostly just a giant garbage can right now. It's full of and I don't know which contractor to blame it on. But whoever the developer is should be up somebody's butt about how come all this trash ends up in these settlement ponds. And then somebody's got the audacity to say that it's the people of the neighborhood's garbage that's causing the problem. It's a horrible situation.
I agree.
I moved into that neighborhood in 1988, and I walked that ditch before with Mr. Wickman years ago. The whole board came out, we walked it, and we got the same story. We can't put county money in private property. But every time taxes go up, we pay our taxes. We don't get no snow removal, we don't get no street maintenance, we don't get nothing but the sheriff's department if they're called. And it's a pretty rare rarity. I think it's time that somebody stepped up and helped out.
Okay, thank you, Bob.
All right, thank you guys. I got one little tidbit here, and Brian, you're really familiar. The River Valley Trail Riders Park at the, that's a park that was legally open 2 different times. The website still shows that it's still open, hasn't been open. It needs to, and I picked on you before about the ski hills. I went to the ski hills numerous times this year. It's a great deal. It's great. We have the opportunity to have another great thing. I've got pictures from, I'm gonna say 2009 or 10, before the flood of 12 when it was closed, of that parking lot being so full that the overflow of people were out on the South Omaha Bridge Road. Nobody can tell me that that wasn't profitable for Council Bluffs and wasn't good for Council Bluffs to have that park open. And I don't understand why, if it was legally open twice before, as well as the ski hills were legally open, privately owned, and they opened right back up as soon as the county took over. How come this can't be taken care of?
We're working. Okay. What?
All
I'm
right.
still involved in that,
I know,
and the city and the DNR and the Corps engineers.
Right there legally before I die. You know, thank you guys.
Thank you. Wow.
That's how I feel.
Okay, next up, we got a study session with Kate Gerber. I'd like to take a 5-minute break if I could.
Guys for coming in.
Oh, that's fine. Yeah.
I can?
Yeah.
I'm going to, I just asked. Oh, what?
You should have it.
Oh. Kate Gerber, Director of Public Relations, discussion on March 25th Town Hall. Discussion only. Hey, good morning.
Good morning. Yep, for another 11 minutes. Just wanted to have some time with all of you. I did throw this out to everybody who was involved in the town hall that they were welcome to attend or provide any feedback that they had. But a few key things that I wanted to make sure that we talked about was the allotted time per presenter, just the overall flow of the event, the number of presenters that we had, and if we felt like that was the right kind of amount of information to present to everyone, the format of Q&A. This one's more for the individual presenters, so you might be my only one responding. Well, oh, you're here. Sorry, Andy. I'm here. Yes, a presenter. Hi, Marianne. Yep, okay, we've got a few still. But if the study sessions were helpful, and then just in terms of recapping, so I had a little clicker, and I got us up to 68 total attendees, but that does include all of our presenters. So I'd have to do the math on exactly what that was for citizens there. Thoughts on the Umba Hall location? If any opinions on moving it from 6:30 to 6 o'clock? This was the first time we held it at 6 instead of 6:30. Personally, I thought that worked well, but just want to get the group's opinion on that. And then the food situation, because I know there was a little bit of online commentary about that. So yeah, those are the topics, but we can go ahead and just start with the presenters. If everybody felt like you had enough time to cover the information that you had to share, and if you all have any general feedback to share as well, obviously we can do that too.
I think 6 o'clock was good. I've seen them run long where people kind of get the 1,000-yard stare and they're ready to go home. I think we moved through it good, and I think it helped to let people have part of a sandwich, and it kept them up, and I really do. I think that's important. I know when you get there, we had cookies before. You can only eat a cookie for dinner. That ain't good. I thought you done a great job. I thought the deal before where we went over, reviewed, that was a good move, Kate.
Any other comments from the supervisors?
I noticed there's a lot of food left over, so maybe that wasn't a great idea because it seemed that a lot of people did not eat. I will say the department heads did a great job. I think the four of us didn't do quite a great job. But I do think that the warm up that we did, that you orchestrated, Kate, was a great idea. So I appreciate that. We've also talked before, and I think we need to do more public engagement as far as the board goes. I would like to see the board do that a couple more times. One of which would be probably like Carter Lake. The other one would be at the Avoca Courthouse because we just don't use that very often. And it wouldn't have to be that elaborate. It could just be a sit down with the board, and have people come to us with their ideas, questions, comments, and concerns, and let us get out there in the public. And I say that because 10 o'clock on a Tuesday isn't good for everybody's work schedules. It'd be good for us to get out there. We wouldn't need an audio system. We wouldn't need all the department heads. We could take Mr. Wilbur and the five of us. We could take Kristen and the five of us and just, let people have at it.
I was just looking up the sort of the online drama. I wanted to get back into that, take a look at that. But I mean, that was Paula Danker who posted sort of a flyer that she put together about wasting taxpayer dollars on food. I mean, I can see that she posted on the Underwood Neola something, page, and there were 3 reactions right to it, like or a surprise face, and she posted on her own page, and she also had like 2 reactions, so I wouldn't say that there was a lot of engagement over that. I think that's a bonus. I don't know if I think the sandwiches are, I didn't have one, but whatever. I mean, I think it's fine to have them. I don't know that you're gaining a lot of brownie points having them. You know, it's nice for the few that want them. I thought the pacing was fine. I always worry you're not gonna have enough time. You know, we spend a bunch of time with department head updates. And then nobody has any time for questioning to talk to the board about issues that they care about. And the reality is, I mean, they didn't have any questions. It was like one comment to this. You know, it felt like we had 70 people there and 35 were county staff. So,
We had a big contingency, that's for sure.
So I guess that is one of the comment or the bullet points I have on here is how did you all feel about having the multiple presenters from each department? And does that feel overwhelming to have that many county individuals there? Do you think that that was effective in what we were trying to accomplish?
I think it was myself, I like a couple presenters for each department. I like that.
I wasn't able to
In
attend.
theory, would you think that that's effective?
No, I'm thinking more like Keith. I'm thinking it's a chance that the public wants to come and speak with the supervisors. And
I would agree with that.
like we've kind of guarded that and we've kind of given them the narrative, but it's like, yeah, we still have a buffer up and I don't want to turn it into an attack mob. I don't want it to talk about one specific target all night, but it would be nice to hear what are some ideas? What are some thoughts? We hear their pain points one-on-one, but at least if they couldn't talk to the whole board, their pain points might change a little.
I think it's a great time to educate as well. I noticed that when we had the open forum, when it came to property taxes, they came forward and a lot of the things could have been handled better if we would have had a little presentation that said, listen, here's what we do with your property taxes. This is how it works. Here's the computation. You know, a lot of your money goes to the schools. I think people would have appreciated that and we would have quelled a lot of their questions and concerns right off the bat. Because when you look at our budget, I think you guys do a great job. And I say that because I stood on the shoulders of what you guys did, especially you two, for the last several rounds of the budget. The Board of Supervisors does a really good job of taking people's money in and spending it in a good manner. And I think if people knew more about that, they'd be happy with what you guys do.
yeah, I thought the visual that Tim brought up with the Iowans for tax relief, I mean, that's a good visual.
It is.
I mean,
It really is.
It's nice because we didn't put it together. I mean, it's a graphic that he got from an independent taxpayer watchdog that I think, you know, then goes to show for everybody. I mean, I understand people feel pain with property taxes, but it's good for them to see that in relation to their peers, this board is doing a good job keeping growth, you know, below reasonable growth and below inflation.
There's another element to that too. And we got, well, Brian and I have been talking to some people in Carter Lake, wondering what do they actually get for their county taxes. And I think the more services that you show them, they'd be very surprised, you know, like all the stuff we do with the veterans, WIC, public health. If they knew more about that, then they'd be like, okay, I get it.
I think something this board can consider, I mean, for either a town hall or even a future, it's obviously probably too close now to your budget. But I know back when Becky Belt was sort of doing the budget, she would present, like she'd show a couple of like generic tax, like if you have a $200,000 house in Carson, here's what your tax, this is what your property tax looks like. And it would give you a generic, like here's the breakdown between school, between city, between county. And then say, okay, here's a generic breakdown for rural Lewis Township. And this is what it looks like, right? So people got a good idea. You know, she had a pie chart, right? I mean, it looked, for the county, it looks good because obviously, I mean, we're in a city, we're always the smallest part of that pie. School is almost always biggest, right? Obviously, the rural area, we're next, but in, you know, in the city, we're number 3. So being able to show, I think, I think you could do something sort of along the lines of what Tim showed with the Iowans for tax relief graph, but then also sort of put that in. I mean, I've seen people complaining about like assessments, right? Everybody's always upset with assessments. Like, well, the city's doing this, but the county is raising your taxes because the county's assessment. I don't think people don't understand how the assessor's office works, right? I mean, we did that at a town hall a year ago when we did sort of assessments 101. But I think being able to explain to people that it's the county assessor But that's not a county government. That's not something the board does, right? The board does it, the mayors do it, the school boards do it. You know, I don't think people don't understand how the assessor's office works. So you take the heat. You take the heat for assessments going up, and you have nothing to do with that other than just be one vote on the conference.
I'm going to take that a step further, and I talked to Kate about this. I'm going to age myself here, but do you guys remember the is it School Board Rock? Schoolhouse Rock. It was a short video, and don't you laugh at me.
I'm just.
Yes, you remember it well. But if, we're a $110 million organization, we're trying to grow even more. We have a public relations department now, and obviously we feel that getting our message out there is important. If we did a series of just 2 or 3 minute short videos and put it on the internet saying, listen, this is what you get for your tax money. This is how we operate. Here's the progression of the tax rates over the last 5 years. I think that would really garner us a lot of goodwill with our people that we serve.
I agree. Look at how many views we got. This is before Kate took, but during that whole supervisor districts election, when Craig Carlson and I sort of put together that informational video about Plan 1, 2, 3, and I really tried my best to make that neutral because I had my favorite choice, but I felt like the facts supported it. But I think that there were a lot of views. There were a lot of eyeballs on that video, and I think it gave people a neutral way of looking at that. So.
One of the things that I think is really important, especially, I know we're getting a little off topic with things like the public hearing, is being able to have you all come across in a way that doesn't, and I'm not saying that anybody did necessarily, but that doesn't come across as defensive or pointing fingers and saying, no, that's not us, that's the city, or no, that's not us, that's Des Moines. And so I think if we can, in some form, without having to do, elaborate study sessions and all of that, have some prepared talking points when we're going into those public hearings, knowing that we're going to have, we had more public engagement at the public hearing than we did at the town hall in terms of comments, questions, all of that. And so being able to explain it in the way that I know everyone can with, yes, these are the services that we're providing, and no, we are not the ones assessing your property, and just having all of that a little bit more prepared so it doesn't just come across as not us, like, putting our hands up. So I think that is something that I would like to do in the future as well. But bringing it back to the town hall. So I'm hearing kind of mixed in terms of the presenters from the departments and wanting to have a bit more of an emphasis on the content that is actually coming from the supervisors and how much accessibility you all are having to the citizens during these events. Is that fair?
If we could do, we did coffee at the top for the police department. We had good success with that. I know we can't do coffee at 6 o'clock in the afternoon or evening, but if we could do something like that where it was low cost, open forum, very relaxed, and just let people get their ideas out there, I think that would be good for us.
The complaints that I've received over a few years, I've been sitting on this board from those out in the county, is that they don't have time to come in for a board meeting, in daytime, normal working hours. They're always wanting us to get out into the county, So this was a way of looking at doing that. And I appreciate, your efforts in making this happen. But it's been a hit and miss kind of a thing, and it could depend on the time of year, farming and so forth. It could depend on the community. Is there a lot of interest and not enough interest in Underwood? There's a lot of interest in Boca. It's probably a combination of all of that. But maybe I like the idea of just the supervisors being, at a town hall, inviting the public in, and then let's talk. Let's just sit down and let's have a discussion. Maybe kind of compare, which is more, just
effective.
Yeah, more effective. Because we can take those the people that have issues department wise, we can take those back with us and let the department heads, for instance, But I do like to have an open discussion with people who have questions. And I don't think there was at least at that town hall meeting, I don't think there was enough time for that. People were actually leaving before before they were having that opportunity, so. That's just me. But I've also been at these town hall get-togethers, and it was a great event. So it's kind of still a hit and miss thing.
You also have to be cautious just of open meetings, right? I mean, you can say we post a town hall, but really town hall, all topics will be open for discussion. That ain't gonna cut it. You know, I mean, that's the downside is, you know, that when you meet as a board, you know, any of you wants to individually set up a town. I mean, we get that from congressmen all the time, right? A congressperson will come back and they're like, hey, I'm doing a town hall in, you know, at whatever, at the community building. And then they come in, they can talk. And they can do that because they're individually by themselves. But when you sit as a quorum, then you got to be really careful. I mean, that's, I think, one of the reasons why they've been sort of strategically set up with a lot of buffer for you with other department, you know, is because you don't really want to be in a position where, I mean, unless you just want it to be a town hall where you just sit and listen to comments and you don't talk. If you want to actually talk back, I'm just telling you, it is a risky maneuver under our open meetings law.
Well, maybe we can't do that.
I'm not saying it's the best, it's just we're stuck with it. There's been plenty of times where I feel like our open meetings law hurts, but that's just, it's very tough to do that.
You can do it. It just has to be, there has to be a topic of the discussion.
Yeah.
Simple as that. And just real quick, Matt, I wanted to touch on a couple of points you made. You mentioned that when we had sandwiches at that, it was to get brownie points. It wasn't to get brownie points, Matt. It was to try to get more people there, and it failed. You know, whether we provide sandwiches or cookies, we can't seem to get over that 40% hump that we have out there, even though we'll have a lot more than that complain that we never have meetings out there.
That's the struggle, is you get a lot of people just want to whine, I think, no matter.
Right. And if the board decides they want to have another out county meeting and put a topic of property tax discussion or whatever else you want to put on there, that'll get it started. I've given presentations on property tax discussions to the chamber. What do they call that, Kate? What are you in?
Leadership CV.
Leadership CB. I think Brian's seen it. I think Susan's seen it. I'd be willing to do that again I've had people come up to me and say, gosh, the county is really taxing us hard. I pull it up on my phone because I don't have my computer. And once I show them, this is what you paid 5 years ago, this is what you're paying now, they understand that we haven't been blasting them with tax increases. So, I mean, that's the topic of discussion, not just here, all across the state and all across the country.
Well, and maybe that's what we need.
Blame for the school and everything else that's coming through their taxes.
Maybe we need to pivot this, and maybe, you know, Tim, you bring up a valid point that at some point, no matter the promotion, no matter the, you know, saying that we're gonna feed you or whatever else we do, we're not really breaking past this point of attendees. Now, I've been here for 3 of them. They've all been similarly attended, I would say.
By the same people, a lot.
Yeah, so a lot of similar people. I think we get a few different ones when we go to each new community, but is this a viable event at this point? Is this something that people want? Do they not actually want to hear from all our departments? Do they just want access to the 5 of you? I think that's, you know, a point worth discussing, but we do have to be careful with how that would get presented and all the open meeting things that Matt brought up.
I think if you did what Tim is saying, if you did a targeted town hall, I think if you just said town hall assessments, town hall property, you know, where do your property
We're
tax?
not gonna do assessments.
You know, yeah, but you know what I'm saying, something,
Okay.
something, you know.
Town hall assessments, go talk to the
Oh,
assessor.
yeah, but how do your taxes, you know, break down? I mean, if you did something like that, I think you can probably, now you can talk as a group. But I mean, just bear in mind, as soon as it's, you know, whether you're making any decisions or not, and I guess if you're not having decisions, I mean, you're supposed to have somebody taking minutes, You know, I mean, that's all just, you know, we have to be careful. We don't have to do that when we're just having the, you know, the town hall and it's just, you know, it's mostly informational to people with very little, you know, questions. We just have to be careful how we address those. I just want to just say that's my biggest concern with any of these is that we get ahead of our skis and end up causing ourselves problems for open meetings.
I say we beta test it and Carter Lake and see what happens.
Well, I agree with one thing. I mean, issues, if somebody's got issues or a community has issues, I'll give you some of the most successful meetings we've had collectively out in the county. And, Matt, I'm gonna bring it up, is the windmills. You know, they were very well attended and a lot of people were there to comment. So there you go. I mean, if we have issues that we need to get out into the county to discuss, I'm all for a listening tour. You know, have a listening tour of the counties, the 5 of us. You know, that might be a possibility.
Well, I think that's a good idea. If you've got issues that you feel like are controversial for the board to have to deal with, I think, you know, feel free to tee those up and say, let's hear from them. Understand that you're likely gonna get. You'll hear it. I mean, you want the opinions, you're gonna hear the opinions.
Gonna get hammered, right?
Yeah, if you bait people with topics like this, they will show up and they will have things to say.
So I mean, in the end, the board has to decide what do you want to spend your time on, you know, coming out and listening.
One thing I learned being mayor out at Crescent for all the years, I let people discuss stuff or talk, come in and talk, and they'd never done that before. And 90% of them thanked us for listening. Couldn't do nothing, but they thanked you for listening to them. They want you to listen to them.
One of the other things that potentially looking at going more of this direction is, you know, when you do look at the number of county employees who you had involved in this, that's a lot of employee time. These are not, I think, Keith, when you first said, we should do more of these, my eyes bugged out of my head slightly. It was like, I don't know that I agree. There's a lot of time from me that goes into them and then everybody else who's presenting. And I think intentionally we use that time really wisely with the study sessions and all of that. But if you scaled it back and you focused it more on a single topic that the 5 of you want to get in front of or what have you, I don't know, I could see that.
Matt, could we do an official meeting like at the courthouse out at Avoca, do some topics,
I mean,
and then at the end,
if it's
do the public comment and just listen.
Yes,
A study session.
If it's just generic, I mean, I wouldn't say you could do it at the courthouse only because I think they've got some ADA issues there.
You can't do it on the second floor.
Yeah, but, I mean, if the question is, could you go do remote meetings? Absolutely, I think you can. I would just caution you that, you know, remember that there's, you know, the reason, people whine, and I get it, I understand the complaint. They're like, you know, you set your meetings and the people can't attend because they have regular jobs. Almost everybody that is presenting to this board at every one of your meetings, this is part of their regular job, and they're doing that. They don't ask to show up on a Wednesday night or a Tuesday night at 7 o'clock out at Avoca. So you're either asking people to, you're either paying them overtime, or you're asking people to take time away from, you know, their family lives so that they can come out. And if it's just, you know, an issue of, am I gonna roll out to Minden if you guys just decide you wanna have rotating, you know, meetings all the time? I mean, maybe I will, maybe I won't, right? You know, you could probably direct your department heads to do it, but you know, you're gonna, you know, you've got an auditor that you've got to deal with, you know, asking if we've got roads, you know, I mean, I would say you'd want to be very targeted with those meetings. If you're gonna do that. So that
A
you have-
limited agenda.
then you have as few staff that need to go up to those as possible, so that,
Andrew, you'll be there.
Yeah, I mean.
willingly every time.
The people that I've talked to that would like to, you know, have meetings out in the county, you know, I'm gonna reflect on this a little bit. I don't know if they're missing their input to us at a county board meeting. I think that has a lot to do with it. So I mentioned a listening tour. Well, when the budgets, we're going through the budget process. Why not do a listening tour specifically on the budget? Have people come in, talk about the budget? Would that be a fair fair thing to do or to try to,
I mean, devil's in the details. I mean, there's no problem with, listening to that, but I think, you're gonna hear a lot of people say, spend less, tax less, I mean, that's what people wanna hear. I mean,
this gentleman that was here this afternoon, I mean, he talked almost nonstop about issues that he had, beyond.
which reminds me, your public comment policy says 3 minutes.
minutes, I know.
You guys need a digital timer because I understand it is tough when somebody is talking and they gotta be done. But if you have a nice little red digital countdown timer that starts when they start, after they give their address and it starts, you don't have to worry about it. It goes beep, 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 and it's done, and then they sit down. So I just know because I hear the grumbling from the people sitting next to me and they're like, nobody's keeping track of time. It's like, anybody is saying something I don't want to hear, then they're keeping track of time. Now they're not keeping track of time.
Yeah, it needs to be enforced.
You should always
Probably
keep
be
track
good
of
to get
time.
a timer up here.
That gentleman was a good example, though. We did nothing for him and he was appreciative of us just hearing him.
Yeah.
And I think if we get out in the community more, we'd get more of that.
Okay. We got anything else? Kate?
I will say, as far as the food, I had 2 or 3 people come up to me and they said, we didn't know there was gonna be food. They had eaten across the street before they came because they didn't know there was gonna be food. So not that you wanna advertise that because then that can be.
Yeah, I kind of didn't the last minute because of the weird backlash we were sort of seeing, and so I didn't make a huge push on it at that point, but yeah, that's good to know.
So I think people that they, had eaten early or made other plans and then as far as taking people out, I mean, in my case, I had to pay 2 employees overtime and their mileage, which is fine, but if that's happening all the time, it's a budget factor too that you have to.
A couple times a year, it's not a problem. I think you should be able to expect people to do that. And many of the departments are only going to one of those a year. That should not be a problem. But if you were wanting to get into saying, oh, hey, there's a reason why city council gets to do what they do because they meet once a month. Right? They meet at night and they generally, then they have an executive. They have a mayor that's handling most of the staff issues, right? So it's pretty rare. They don't need a lot of staff showing up to those. You are doing the mayor's job and the council's job. That's the thing about the county, supervisors are executive and legislative. We're doing a lot of executive branch stuff on Tuesday mornings.
So before we wrap, do we want to move forward with the plan as is to have a regular town hall in Avoca in the fall, similar to the ones we've had previously, or do we want to pivot in a different direction?
I would say we would have it if property tax law changes July 1st. So that we can decipher for the county how that's going to impact us. If nothing happens on property tax changes, then it wouldn't be necessary. But I think we can get in front of that boat as far as what is changing, how is it going to impact us, and we don't know exactly what it's going to do, but.
And you'll know that answer in a week. I think the session is done in next week, right? So.
Right.
In theory.
Yeah, it's going to last until May.
Well, I think to the 17th, they quit getting paid.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They usually get a little more, that's what I'm looking for. They get a little more motivated.
The 21st ends the session, but they're gonna go into May probably because they don't have an agreement yet.
Oh, so they
And
get paid.
if they do, it wouldn't go into effect July 1st. I think it'd be July 1st of 27.
Right, but
But your next budget cycle, it would affect.
Right. It would give us some talking points to get ahead of it instead of.
I think that if we want to talk about a tax thing with just the board, and bring Joe Casson with the assessor, that would help some. But I go back, we talked about this every year. And I hate to say it publicly, but we put these things on and there's a lot of effort to put them on, and really, I'm not kidding. We're damn lucky to get 50 people from this county that aren't an employee, elected official, that kind of thing. And And if Kate said she was at count of 68, when you take off our employees that were there, other city administrators that are like from trainer.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you took out candidates
Well,
and, I mean, county staff, obviously, I say half, because I counted around, it was like 30 or 30s, low 30s for county staff. So half the people were, so you have roughly 35. Now you take out candidates for office, you're down to 30. You take out people that show up to every board meeting already, quite a few, and there's probably half a dozen of those there. You're ending up with 20 or 25 new eyeballs that are showing up, and how much staff time goes into these, both in terms of preparing the presentations, doing the presentations, traveling out there. I mean, I'm not saying that there's not a value to symbolic, I think being symbolically available is also, there is a value to that. But I don't know how many of you mean, I mean, in terms of real engagement, you're not getting much.
No, we didn't have many questions either. That would have told us more engagement. And I think doing something with just the board would probably work.
I mean, we can definitely test one of those out. I don't know, one of the kind of guiding principles of it has always been getting out more in the county. Does Carter Lake satisfy that? Do we pick a different location?
The reason I brought up Carter Lake is because of the past conversations that we've had with the mayor. And then they're always saying that they're the forgotten city. And I thought that would satisfy them.
That's true.
And here's a third one. They have a great facility over there and they get a great turnout for their city council meetings. And I just thought maybe they would have a better turnout than somewhere else.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Don't say it. I can read your mind from here.
No. I'm willing to have another get together outside this boardroom, not for a board meeting. It would have to be a specific meeting for a specific topic with the board. And maybe a department if there was a pending issue or something like that, whether it's
Such as the sheriff or Carter Lake.
You would have to agree with that too, though.
He's an elected official. Okay, motion to adjourn.
Make that motion.
Second,
second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Can stay.
Hey, Matt,
Josh.